To understand why French rosé wine has changed in taste over the last 50 years, we can follow the story of Chateau Miraval. Rosé had the reputation of a wine that was overly sweet and gave the drinker a headache. The wine started to change with the appearance of wealthy outside investors who bought old Provence, France chateaux like Chateau Miraval. We're not afraid to try new techniques and grape varietals that literally changed the taste of rosé.
In the 50s and in the 60s, Saint-Tropez and Brigitte Bardot were all the rage. So the region attracted people even then who went on to become investors. Because they are outsiders to the wine-growing industry, they don't have any preconceived ideas. They won't say, "I've always been doing it that way. That's the technique we've been using for 50 or 100 years. Why change it?" They're very much open to new technologies and to modernizing techniques.
Being American, I didn't like rosé when I arrived here. I didn't even want to make rosé when I arrived here. These people arriving, such as myself, the major item is they're not going to make bad wine and serve it to their friends.
The latest owner of the Chateau Miraval was the famous Hollywood couple Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. When Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt bought Miraval, they added star power to the Miraval rosé wine reputation. The winemaker keeps each type of grape separate during fermentation and then blends them together after they have become finished wines. The winemaker is like a painter. The different wines in the tanks in the winemaker's cellar are like having different paints to mix on a palette. Blending different wines together allows the winemaker to manipulate both the color and the taste.
1%, 2%, and 3%. Preference of which color you like the best. That's because that's what everybody looks at when they look at rosé.
Rosé wine comes in many hues, with each country and even each region within a country having a different preference.
As we meet a lot of people on exhibitions, we know we have discussions with them, and we know that, for example, in the US, the lightest color are preferred. So when they're thinking about Provence rosé, they think first about light rosé.
Thank you. My pleasure, my dear. And then go ahead and give me a couple minutes, and then I'll be back for an ice bucket.
Oh, thank you.
Grapes are from Central Coast, which is south of Montreal, that area. Rosé is kind of fashionable, you know. So right now, people looking for, I would say, rosé, or they call blush wine, which is dry rosé, more flavorful. Actually, more dry one than sweeter one. This is dry rosé.
It is dry. It is very good.
Let's go back to photojournalism. Deadline every second, an amazing video about AP photographers.
I had always wanted to do a story that told the public how the amazing pictures get taken that they see every day. And I had done a documentary about Sports Illustrated. This was back in its heyday. And the head of AP had Associated Press, photography, had seen that story and asked if I would do a story about the Associated Press. The Associated Press is the largest press association in the world, and it has the most photographers. I think it has 60 photographers all over the world, located all over the world. And a huge percentage of all the pictures you see day in, day out are taken by either the still photographers or the videographers that work for AP. So I was able to go and actually go on assignment with all these different photographers of the world, located all over the world. A huge percentage of all the pictures you see day in, day out are taken by either the still photographers or the videographers that work for AP. So I was able to go and actually go on assignment with all these different photographers. I went on an assignment in England with a photographer that was covering the Prime Minister.
You have to have a picture of the Prime Minister. So when the driver is already in the car and the engine is running, you know you have to be ready.
Morning, Prime Minister.
So what we're doing is we're going to send a couple of pictures now. So now I'm going through them one by one, making sure I'll choose one that is the right expression. I don't need many images, so I'm going to go one by one and make sure I'll get the best. Thank you. Have a good day.
I went on an assignment in France. I went on the Tour de France with one of the AP photographers. It was actually a whole crew. The amazing thing I found about that was that the editor literally edited the pictures in the back seat of a van as the tour was going along. The photographer would be riding on the back of a motorcycle. He would take pictures of the riders riding and competing and doing whatever they were doing. Then he'd have his motorcycle person run up to the car, change cards, and the editor would take the card, put it into his laptop, edit as the car was driving, and they would send out the pictures as the tour was actually taking place.
Close to us. Okay, this is bus. Okay, we stay around. Okay.
So we'll have the first picture out in 2 minutes or 3 minutes.
And was that one of the ones that they brought in from the motorcycle?
Yeah.
Under the sun.
Always getting car sick in the beginning. It's like disaster editing in a car.
We need to find a place where to wait for them. We need a place where we can be sure that Peter will be able to file his picture. You have a problem with one of your cameras?
Sure. Then move I'll show you what I move.
We have to be at the finish earlier.
Get any pictures sent?
Yep.
I saw also amazing photograph about the Palestinian-Israeli conflict and also 9/11.
Well, I'll tell you about the conflict first because I was there covering that. And that was as near as I've ever come to war photography. The Palestinian students, young Palestinians, were rioting. They were throwing rocks. They thought it was going to be the third Intifada. They thought the whole country was going to blow up. I arrived at AP's office coming in to say, hello, it's nice to see you, here I am. And they said, here's your flak jacket, it's blowing up, get in the taxi, get there. So before I knew what I was doing, I all of a sudden had a flak jacket on, I had a helmet on, and away I went. And I found the AP photographer right in the middle of all the action, with the Palestinians throwing the rocks, and the soldiers were actually shooting rubber bullets. My memory of that moment was very clear because everybody was wearing gas masks. Unfortunately, AP had run out of gas masks, so I didn't have one. So I had to suffer.
I think I've been pretty lucky so far. I've had a couple like concussion grenades go off at my feet, but that didn't affect me. And then when the rubber bullets start, then you sort of have to decide how important the picture is.